it's Anna, and today I'm going to be doing the Perfcct Palette Tag. I love palettes personally. Whenever I get a high-end makeup product, it's typically a palette because I feel like they're so versatile and you can really get a lot out of your money, like your biggest bang for your buck, with a palette because you're getting more than just one product. It's like you spend $18 on a one eyeshadow when you could spend $20 or $30 and get 6 or more eyeshadows, and it's kind of a better price and you get to try out a lot more things. And if you're already going to spend money on a high-end product, I really think that you should just splurge and go for the whole palette because it just makes sense to me. And so let's get started. So the first question is best packaging, and I went from a functionality sort of view, and mine is the Stila Not So Nude palette. It looks just like this. It's got a little woman on the front, and the back looks like this. It shows you kind of the arrangement or the layout of the palette, and I just love the functionality of this palette. It's so smart. So there's a mirror here, which I will cover so I don't blind you. Then this right here is instructions, and then you get 6 eyeshadows, 1 convertible cheek color, and 1 all over shimmer. So this is the all over shimmer. This is in the shade Kitten. Looks like this. It's just a very shimmery, kind of iridescent sort of highlighting shade. It adds a lot of light, even though the camera is giving a lot of light. It adds a lot of light to the skin. The eyeshadows in here are just so buttery and beautiful. This is the shade called Mink. It's a very, very pigmented, rich, deep, dark brown. Even some of the lighter shades, like this shade called Buff, which is kind of just a nude shade, even shows up really well because they're just so pigmented and rich and buttery, and I just really love the packaging of this. I think that it's so smart, and I love how they are like little books. They come in a whole bunch of different ones. I got the Not So Nude because these are the colors that I liked, but you could get any of the different variations of this product. So the best color payoff is question number 2, and for that I picked the Too Faced Natural Eye Palette. This is just neutral eyeshadow shade collection, and it looks like this. There isn't a mirror, but right here there are just a few little, if I can get them out, they're just little cards that kind of give you different looks and stuff. This one is the day look, so it just says the different shades that you should put different places on your eye to create the looks on the cards. But these shades are so very, very pigmented. They will give you probably the best payoff that I have in my collection. I mean, just to like touch these just a little bit is like serious color payoff. And then like even if I wipe it on a napkin, it's still stained my finger. I have a tissue right here, and I'm wiping them on my finger, but it's still stained. Even the really rich kind of shimmery shades are still very shimmery and pigmented. They're not light, and these shades are not flaky either. These shades are very, very creamy. They blend out very well. They're super blendable, super beautiful, and I love this highlight shade in the shade called Heaven. I think that it is just such a lovely everyday highlight shade for the brow bone, especially because I have kind of thicker brows, and so I like to just subtly accentuate them. I don't want that really shimmery, like frosty look underneath my brow. That's just not what I go for. So I love the matte white in this palette, and it just opens with a little ribbon, and it's like a little magnetic closure. So yeah, this is the best color payoff. The most versatile palette for me is the NYX Love in Paris palette, and I know you're thinking, Anna, that's not a palette. I consider anything that's not a quad, which is a 4-colored eyeshadow like collection, for those of you who don't know. I consider anything over 4 colors is a palette, and this has 6 or 9, I believe. 3, 9? 10. 9. Yes, it has 9. Seriously? Is this 9? This is 9. me and my math, 9 eyeshadow shades, and you can tell that I really love one of them. I actually hit pan on this, but the packaging is lovely. It just says NYX Love in Paris, and anything that has Paris on it, you guys know I love. So I was super excited when they came out with this collection quite a few years ago now, and this one is in a la mode. It looks just like this, and I love the little closure on here. It is a little bow. For those of you who love bows, you would probably really enjoy the little subtle touches. And I also really, really love the clear window. I love when palettes do this, but it's not flimsy. It's like seriously like plexiglass or something. It's very, very durable. Like even if you were traveling or something with this and it was in an airplane or it was in a bag that was on a road trip or something, it doesn't get broken. I've flown with this, and I have also been on many, many road trips with this because it's just so small, and it has a great selection of eyeshadows. So the reason that it's the most versatile for me is because I can create a ton of different looks out of this palette. You have normal neutral shades like these kind of like brownish, normal, just everyday shades. And then there's some fun smoky colors. So you have more of the black, you have some shimmery grays and charcoal colors. And then I also really, really like the matte to shimmer ratio in this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matte shades and 1, 2, 3, 4 shimmer shades. So you get a really great selection of colors out of these palettes. And the reason that this one is on pan is because this is the one I actually use for my eyebrows. Because when I actually do them, I just like to use powder because I don't like the whole feeling of gel and everything. So that's why the shade in here is decreasing of volume. The next question is best for traveling, which you could definitely take this one because it's so small and easy to just throw in a bag and go. It would be really, really simple, really small and compact. But the one that I usually pick if I'm going to be traveling is the Stila Not So Nude. It's just so, so small. It's very, very thin. I think it's even thinner than this one. Yeah, it's just so thin compared to this, and it has the best like durability. I feel like nothing could really get broken in this. I have flown with it and traveled with it, like I said before, and also it has the most amount of things that I would want to travel with because it's got the highlight, which I love every day. It's a beautiful, beautiful shade. It's got this lip and cheek stain, so you could put it on your lips, or you could also put it on your nose, put it on your cheeks for a beautiful flush. And then there are very versatile shades in here. They're not all neutrals, and they're not all shimmers, and they're not all mattes. It's just the perfect little array of eyeshadows. And there's some darker ones, like the one that is called Barefoot. There's Fawn and Sugar. Buff is just your normal everyday shade. Mink you could use as a beautiful liner. And Dulce is kind of just a fun shade to throw in there and give you a different look. So that's definitely why this is the best for travel in my collection. The biggest regret. Okay, this is really sad. I got this for my 15th birthday, and I got a whole bunch of money from one of my friends. Well, not a whole bunch of money, but she gave me a Visa, and then a couple of my other friends gave me some gift cards and stuff to go to Ulta. And so this is the palette I bought. I debated this for such a long time, and I finally decided on buying it. This was a $50 palette that I could have spent so much more. Okay, I could have spent the money in so many other better places than this one palette for $50. And honest to God, it makes me so sad, but I don't ever reach for this, which is really saddening because it's a beautiful palette. It's the Great and Powerful Oz in the Glinda collection. So this is kind of the sweet side of the other one, which was the, I don't remember what the other one was called, but it was like the witch one, and it was like deep greens and blacks, and I just really was not into it, and I'm still not. But this one, I just can't figure out looks for this palette. It's just so, the shades are so random in here. They're beautiful, They give such a lovely color payoff, but they just don't make sense in a palette to me. So I will swatch a few of them for you because they are gorgeous shades. They're Urban Decay, normal, beautiful shades. This one is called Magic, this is called Tornado, and this is called West. And they're beautiful. They're absolutely pigmented, but it's just not colors or a palette that I reach for. I did a kind of shop my stash thing, so I made myself use this for a month, and I just could never figure out looks to go with it. It just would drive me insane, and it would frustrate me because I spent $50 on a palette that just sits there because it looks pretty, and it makes me really mad. Best color names. Okay, this is still the newest baby in my collection, which if you've watched my haul, you know that I got this palette with some Christmas money, and I just love this palette. I still do. I use it still like every other day, and it's just a perfect palette. First of all, it smells like chocolate. It's the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Palette. This is just the normal one, and then they also came out with the semi-sweet, but this semi-sweet, this is the original one, and it's still just so, so beautiful, and I still just love this so much. It just looks like this. Yes, so pretty. But the names actually are on this little sleeve, which the semi-sweet actually changed, and they put it on the palette, which is a lot nicer. I don't really like this whole sheet thing, but I do love the names for these things. So there's like Black Forest Truffle, there's Candied Violet, Strawberry Bonbon, Marzipan, Champagne Truffle, White Chocolate, Salted Caramel, Hazelnut, Creme Brulee. Am I making you hungry yet? Because I make myself hungry just reading these names, and I am a chocolate addict. I love it. Anything sweet. I have a huge sweet tooth, and I love the sweet stuff. So these always make me hungry. Plus, it smells like chocolate. You guys, if you just go into Ulta, just smell it. It is enough, and it smells so good, and it's so cute. It's like a little chocolate bar. Oh, I just love it so much. Can you tell I love this palette? I love this palette. Alright, least used, once again, the sad regret purchase of the Great and Powerful Oz palette. I just can't figure it out. I keep blinding you guys. I just can't figure this palette out. If you have any suggested looks below, please let me know. I would love to know because I can't figure it out. I've watched a couple of different videos and different tutorials and stuff, and looked up different looks on the like Google images. That's what I do when I get bored. And I just can't figure it out. None of it, I wonder if it's just the colors on my skin tone. I am extremely pale, and a lot of these shades are nice and light, so maybe that's the problem. I'm not sure. I wish I would, if I got the option today to not purchase this, I wouldn't, or if I had the receipt and I got to take it back, I would take it back, because it was $50 and I don't use enough of it for it to be $50 worth in my collection. Just, I don't use it. The most used, this is the oldest, no, this is the second oldest out of all of them. This is actually the oldest one, my very first tie-in palette. But this I got for Christmas, and I wanted this so bad. The Urban Decay Naked palette was talked about all the time, and then like by the time I got it, even the Naked 2 came out, and Naked 3 was being talked about. So I haven't had this for very long, but longer out of all of my other collection, and it's my most used. It's my favorite. I love this thing so much. It's such a lovely palette. It just has everything, and honestly, I thought that I would never ever come past this gold shade, but I go past that shade all the time. I'm constantly using Creep for a beautiful night out. I used it for my homecoming look, which was so beautiful, and I loved that so much. Gunmetal I use all the time just for a nice fun shade on my brown eyes. And then of course the Perfect natural shades are just great for an everyday look, to wear to school, to go shopping. They are just perfect. The only complaint that I have is the texture. I hate this velvety stuff. It feels like tingles going down my spine every time I touch it. because I don't like the feel of velvet. But other than that, and you know, you can't complain about packaging when the inside is just magical, and it actually came with a brush too, and I still have the brush. I still use the brush. It was a great palette, and I'm super thankful that I got it for that Christmas. Most loved. Okay, this baby, I could write a book about how much I just love this palette. This is the Bobbi Brown Rich Chocolate Eye Palette, and I got this for my, I want to say 15th Christmas, and this is an extremely expensive palette for what it is, but my parents actually surprised me with this. I didn't even ask for it. They surprised me with it, which was so cool, and I still, honestly, to this day, and I'm 17 now, can't believe that I own this and that I have this in my collection, and it's something that I will just cherish till it's gone or till I can't use it anymore, and it's just so lovely, and the idea and the novelty behind it is even better. So this is what the shades look like. It also came with a brush that I also use on a daily basis. I love when palettes come with brushes. And this is what it looks like. The shades are so, so beautiful, and this one is called Bone, Stone, Frappe, Caramel, Champagne Truffle, Cocoa, and Rich Chocolate, and they are all matte except for Caramel, which is a sparkly shade, and Champagne Truffle, which is more of a shimmer wash sort of shade. And I just love it so much. It's so beautiful. I keep blinding you guys with the mirror. I'm so sorry. I need to work on that. And yeah, so Mom and Dad, if you're watching this, I still love this palette, and thank you so much for getting it for me because it's awesome. Alright, Deserted Island. Honest to God, if I was on a deserted island, I would bring a gun, maybe an AK-47 or a knife or an M9 or some kind of weaponry. I would not bring makeup, but for the sake of this question, I would bring the Naked palette. It's, like I said, my most loved, my baby, and I just love it so much, and I feel like you could get the maximum amount of shades out of this and be perfectly satisfied, and it's just beautiful. And honestly, if I only had these two palettes in my collection, I'd be happy. These are really the only two that I seriously reach for on a daily basis, and I have a hard time figuring out which one I'm going to use in the morning, because this smells like chocolate, and it's perfect, but this has the most beautiful shades in it that I could possibly think of. So I thought I would throw in a few extra questions. The original tag was only 10 questions, but I thought I'd throw a few in. So my next question is for a face palette, and for me, it is this one. The closure doesn't even work anymore on this because I have worn it out way too much, but I love this palette. This is the 10 color blush palette from Coastal Scents. If you are a beginner in makeup, or if you just love blush and bronzer, go ahead and give it a whirl. I think it's like 15 bucks. I got mine on Amazon. Make sure you get the right Coastal Scents, because a lot of people get scammed and it's not Coastal Scents, but I got the right Coastal Scents, and I love this thing. These shades are so beautiful. I love coral, and I never ever thought I would touch orange shades in this collection, but they are seriously some of my most used shades, and it's really ironic how I would never thought I would use this very bright pink shade, and again, it's just one of my absolute favorite blush colors because I just love it on my skin. But I think having a palette like this and being able to have all these fun shades at the tip of your fingertips is very fun, because you really get to experiment, and if you are into makeup, or if you are a beauty guru, or anything like that, I think that just having palettes like this, or palettes in general, are just great because there's so much to experiment with, and you can always create a new look. You could even mix some of these shades together. I've done it before. I've created a shimmer and matte look, and oh girl, it was so cute. And then I thought I would show you the holder for my palettes, because palettes are hard to store. They're not the easiest thing, and I think that if you've been watching any of these videos, or if you've watched any YouTube videos with makeup collections, you have seen people use mail holders. I got my idea off of YouTube, like everything else in life. But this one is from Coastal Scents. I think it's so beautiful. It's got a 4-slot thing, and I usually keep multiple palettes on each slide, except for this one, which is reserved solely for the naked palette, like so. And this just sits on my vanity, and I can grab the palettes very, very easily. It's beautiful. It's this lavender shade with almost like a bird pattern. I almost see birds and a branch-like pattern to it. Maybe I'm crazy, but I like birds. They're calming, and I think they're really cool. So I love this palette holder, and I got this at Coastal Scents Home Goods for maybe about $10, $10.50. It was really cheap and affordable, and it's awesome. And you could probably find something at Ross even cheaper. It might not be like metal, but these things are sold everywhere, especially office supply stores. And then I thought I would throw in one last sweetener for those of you who are just starting out or want just some totally fun palettes to try out, or the biggest bang for your buck, which is what everyone's trying to look for in life. Go for an e.l.f. This is an Eyes, Lips, Face palette, and I think this one has 100 shades, and there's also one with 144 shades. Now, I'm not saying every one of these shades is going to be perfect, and the packaging certainly isn't. Mine's broken. It's broken. But the sum of the shades in here are absolutely beautiful, and there's such a wide range of shades as well that it's just really fun to play with and to get some new and different looks out of it. It's not something that you're probably going to want to wear every day unless you go for more of the neutral side of this, but like I said, they're not the best quality eyeshadows. They're not going to live up to Urban Decay or Too Faced or anything like that, but there are some beautiful shades in here that you could really create a gorgeous look with, and as long as you put a base of cream eyeshadow or primer or something like that underneath, I think that it would stay for as long as you would need it to stay. And it's just a really fun thing to have at your fingertips to play with. I have created colored liner out of this, which turned out really well, and I really enjoyed the look. So this is just fun to have, and I think that it is probably the biggest bang for your buck, because I think this was $12 and you got 140 or 100 shades. I think the 144 is like 20 bucks, and so cheap, and it's actually really nice. You get a mirror that I'm not going to blind you with, and 2 little sponge applicators that I don't think I've ever used, and then I actually still have the little plastic piece that fits over the mirror. See, little plastic piece. So the hinge did end up breaking on mine, but I've had this forever. When I first started out, I loved this. I used it all the time, and of course the colors didn't stay, but sometimes that's great for beginners because you don't want to go overboard with your makeup when you're first starting out, and it's very easy to do that because it's so much fun to play with, and you're just like, let's use all the colors, and it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes. So being able to just simply pick a few squares out of the palette is just a great thing to be able to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed my Perfcct Palette Tag. I enjoyed filming it for you guys, and I just love palettes. I think they're probably the best way to go, and they're definitely my favorite thing to look for in new makeup that comes out, or makeup that I haven't experimented with, or a new brand. I just think that it's the best way to get to know a company and to get to know their products and their formations and their layouts. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Love you!